My wife and I grew up in East Central Illinois. Our towns were about 18 to 20 miles apart. And when we were dating as teenagers, about 13 miles of that trip was a pretty good highway. But the last 4 miles to get from her hometown out into the country where she lived was on the Clinton Road. And the Clinton Road at that time was partially brick and partially gravel. Very rough, very unlevel, very uneven. Going 18 miles for a date, the first 13 or 14 miles were fine, but the last 3 or 4 miles were the pits. They were terrible. It was rough as could be. I hated that Clinton Road. I hated that last 4 miles of getting out to her house out in the country. But I tell you what, I determined that journey was worth it when you knew who was waiting for you at the end of the road. Let me say that again. That journey was worth it. Sometimes it was rough and sometimes, man, it was bumpy, it was rough, but the journey was worth it when you knew who was waiting for you at the end of the road. Now, let me translate that out for us today from a spiritual perspective. Sometimes our spiritual road is rough. Sometimes it is as bumpy and rough as can be. But let me remind you, my Christian friend, that the journey is worth it when you know who's waiting for you at the end of the road. And that's your Jesus. He's waiting for you. He's waiting for you to arrive, to be with Him. And no matter how rough the road is, no matter how difficult the journey is, no matter how trying it might be, no matter how bumpy it might be, and there's somebody today listening to me that you're on a bumpy road, I just want to encourage you today and remind you that the journey's worth it. Jesus is waiting for you. At the end of the road, Jesus will be there. He will be there waiting for you. And I'm telling you, the journey is worth it when you know who is waiting for you at the end of the road. No matter how rough it might be, no matter how rough it seems, no matter how bumpy it gets, the journey is gonna be worth it because Jesus is waiting for you to arrive.